The heart monitor's steady beeping filled the tense silence of Dad's hospital room. I stood quietly in my plain scrubs, watching my sister Amanda parade around in her designer clothes, telling everyone who would listen about her successful real estate career. Mom hung on her every word as usual. Dad had been admitted for emergency cardiac surgery after collapsing at his 60th birthday party. The timing was ironic. Just hours earlier, he'd been telling his country club friends how disappointed he was that his younger daughter couldn't handle medical school and settled for some hospital job. I mean, she's basically just pushing papers somewhere in administration, Amanda had added helpfully, rolling her eyes. Such a waste after all that pre-med work. At least I'm making something of myself. I'd stayed silent then, just as I remained silent now, watching them dismiss my presence in the hospital. 10 years of carefully maintaining my cover was about to unravel, but I felt strangely calm. Let them keep talking. We need real medical professionals handling Dad's care, Amanda announced to the nurse, shooting me a dismissive glance. Not whatever low-level position she has. I don't even know why she's here. Of course, dear, Mom patted her arm. We're so lucky to have you here to make the important decisions. You've always been the smart one. The nurse, Sarah, kept her face carefully neutral, though I caught the slight twitch at the corner of her mouth. She'd worked with me for 6 years, and knew exactly who I was, but maintained perfect professionalism. I'll just review his charts again, I said quietly, picking up Dad's medical records. Amanda snatched them from my hands. Stop playing doctor, she snapped. These are confidential medical documents. You're not qualified to understand them. I stepped back, hands raised in surrender. You're right, I apologize. The door opened, and Dr. Richards, our chief cardiovascular surgeon, entered. His eyes widened slightly when he saw me, but he quickly recovered. Mrs. Thompson, we need to discuss your husband's surgery, he addressed my mother. The blockage is severe, and we need to operate immediately. Yes, yes, whatever you recommend, Mom nodded frantically. You're the expert, just save my husband. Actually, Dr. Richards said carefully, we can't proceed without the department head's approval and signature, given the complexity of the case. Well, go get them then, Amanda demanded. What are you waiting for? Dad needs surgery now. That's why I'm here, doctor, Richards replied, then turned to me. Dr. Thompson, as head of cardiology, we need your authorization to proceed with the emergency bypass. The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Mom grabbed the edge of Dad's bed for support. I'm sorry, what did you just call her? Amanda finally managed to sputter. Dr. Thompson is our head of cardiology, Dr. Richards stated matter-of-factly. One of the youngest department heads in the hospital's history, actually. Board-certified cardiac surgeon, with multiple published research papers. We're quite fortunate to have her expertise available for your father's case. I pulled my hospital ID badge from beneath my scrubs, where the title, Dr. Sarah Thompson, Maryland, head of cardiology, was clearly displayed alongside my photo. That's impossible, Mom whispered. You work some administrative job here. You couldn't handle medical school, you told us. I never said that, I corrected gently, reviewing Dad's charts. You assumed. I simply didn't correct you. But all these years, Amanda stammered. All these years, I've been building my surgical career while you both dismissed me as a failure. I said, making notes in Dad's file. It was easier to let you think what you wanted. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to scrub in for Dad's surgery. You're not touching him, Amanda shrieked. Mom, we can't let her operate on Dad. I turned to Dr. Richards. Please explain their options, doctor. Dr. Richards cleared his throat professionally. Mrs. Thompson, your husband needs immediate bypass surgery. His condition is critical, and Dr. Thompson is not only our head of cardiology, but also the most qualified surgeon for this particular procedure. She's performed over 500 successful bypass operations, with the lowest complication rate on the East Coast. Amanda's face had turned an interesting shade of red. This is ridiculous. We'll transfer Dad to another hospital. Your father's condition is too unstable for transfer, I said calmly, reviewing his latest ECG. His arterial blockage is severe, and we have a limited window for intervention. Moving him would pose an unacceptable risk. Then get another surgeon here, Mom demanded, her voice trembling. I could, I replied, making another note in Dad's chart. But as department head, I'd still need to approve their surgical plan and supervise the procedure. Hospital policy. Sarah, the nurse stepped forward. If I may, I've assisted Dr. Thompson in hundreds of surgeries. She's the doctor other hospitals call when they have complicated cases. Last month, she was flown to Cleveland to operate on the governor. Mom sank into a chair, her designer handbag sliding to the floor. The governor, that emergency heart surgery we saw on the news. That was you. I nodded, still focused on Dad's charts. The timing was fortunate. I was already scheduled to present my new surgical technique at their cardiac conference. Your new surgical technique. Amanda's voice had lost its edge. Dr. Richards jumped in enthusiastically. The Thompson method. It's revolutionized bypass surgery, reduced recovery time by 40%, and significantly improved outcomes in high-risk patients. It's being adopted by major hospitals across the country. But you never said anything. Mom whispered. All these years, when we talked about your hospital job, you never asked, I replied simply. You were too busy bragging about Amanda's real estate sales to show any interest in my work. It was easier to let you assume I'd failed. The heart monitor's beeping suddenly became more irregular. I quickly checked Dad's vitals. His pressure's dropping, I announced. We need to move him to surgery now. Dr. Richards, please prep the OR. Sarah, get the surgical team ready. They rushed into action, leaving me alone with my mother and sister. Amanda had gone pale. All her previous bravado evaporated. How many surgeries like this have you done? She asked quietly. 527, I answered, checking Dad's IV. With a 99.2% success rate. The national average is 94%. And you're really the best option for Dad. Mom's voice was small. I'm his only option right now, I said firmly. But yes, I'm the best cardiothoracic surgeon in this hospital, and one of the top-rated in the country. Now, I need you to sign these consent forms. My hands were steady as I held out the paperwork. Mom's weren't as she took the pen. I don't understand, Amanda said, watching Mom sign. Why did you let us think? Why did you put up with all our comments about your failed medical career? I looked at her for a long moment. Because proving you wrong was less important than becoming the best surgeon I could be. My patients' lives matter more than your opinions of me. The door opened, and Sarah returned. Oars ready, Dr. Thompson. Your surgical team is waiting. I nodded and turned back to my family. The surgery will take approximately 4 hours. Sarah will show you to the waiting room and keep you updated. I'm going to scrub in now. Sarah, Mom called out suddenly. Is she really as good as they say? Sarah smiled. Better. We call her the miracle worker. Your husband couldn't be in better hands. As I walked toward the door, Amanda grabbed my arm. Wait, I'm sorry for everything we said. I gently removed her hand. Now isn't the time for apologies. Right now, I'm not your sister who couldn't handle medical school. I'm the surgeon who's going to save Dad's life. We can discuss everything else later. The automatic doors swished open, and I strode toward the surgical wing, leaving them staring after me. In a few minutes, I would step into my OR, my domain, where titles didn't matter, family dynamics didn't exist, and only surgical excellence counted. It was time to do what I did best, regardless of who was watching or what they believed about me. After all, that's what I'd been doing for the past decade anyway. The surgery was textbook perfect. My hands moved with practiced precision through each step of the procedure, my focus absolute as I repaired Dad's damaged heart. 4 hours later, I stepped out of the OR, leaving my patient stable and on track for a full recovery. Dr. Richards caught up with me in the hallway. Flawless execution of the Thompson method as usual, doctor. The residents were in awe. Thank you, John. Please oversee the post-op care. I need to update the family. I found Mom and Amanda in the waiting room, both looking wrung out. Mom's perfectly styled hair had come undone, and Amanda's mascara had left dark streaks under her eyes. They jumped up when I entered. The surgery was successful, I announced professionally. We bypassed the blocked arteries and restored normal blood flow. He's stable and being moved to recovery. Mom burst into tears while Amanda stood frozen. When can we see him? Mom managed to ask between sobs. He'll be in recovery for several hours. You can see him briefly tonight, but he'll be heavily sedated. Regular visits can start tomorrow morning. Just then, my phone buzzed. I checked the message and had to suppress a smile at the timing. Dr. Thompson, a voice called from the doorway. Dr. Peterson, the hospital's chief of medicine, stood there beaming. The American College of Surgeons just confirmed. You've been selected for this year's Distinguished Surgeon Award. Congratulations. Mom's head snapped up. Amanda's mouth fell open. Thank you, sir, I replied calmly. Please tell the board I'll attend the ceremony next month. Of course. And Harvard Medical School called again about that visiting professor position. They're quite persistent. I nodded. I'll review their offer this weekend. After he left, I turned back to find my family staring at me with shell-shocked expressions. The silence stretched uncomfortably until Amanda finally broke it. Harvard wants you as a professor, she whispered. Among other schools, I said, checking Dad's post-op notes on my tablet. I usually guest lecture there twice a year already. They've been trying to get me to join their faculty permanently. But you let us think. Mom's voice cracked. All those family dinners, where we dismissed your career. The Christmas party where your aunt said you were wasting your potential. Last month when we didn't invite you to the country club gala, because we were embarrassed about your job. Yes, I said simply, still reviewing the notes. I remember all of those moments. Why didn't you ever tell us? Amanda demanded, though her voice lacked its usual edge. Why let us believe you were some low-level hospital worker? I finally looked up from my tablet. Would it have mattered? You both decided 10 years ago that I wasn't good enough, that I'd failed. You never once asked about my actual work or showed any interest in my career. It was easier to let you believe what you wanted while I focused on becoming the surgeon I aimed to be. A nurse appeared with more post-op updates, addressing me with clear respect. Dr. Thompson, your father's initial recovery indicators are excellent. The modifications you made to the procedure worked perfectly. Thank you, Claire. Please continue monitoring and alert me of any changes. After she left, Mom sank into her chair. All this time, you've been this successful, this respected, and we treated you like a disappointment. The thing is, I said, signing off on the surgical reports, your opinion of my career never affected my ability to save lives. Dad's heart doesn't care about family dynamics. His arteries don't know you thought I was a failure. All that matters is surgical excellence. My pager buzzed, another patient requiring consultation. I stood to leave. Wait, Amanda called out. What happens now? With everything? I turned back. Now you go home and rest. Come back tomorrow during regular visiting hours. Dad will need several weeks of recovery, followed by cardiac rehabilitation. I'll oversee his care, but other doctors will handle the day-to-day treatment to maintain professional distance. No, I mean, with us. With all the things we said and did. That's up to you, I replied. I'm comfortable with who I am, and what I've achieved. The question is whether you can be comfortable with how wrong you were about me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have other patients who need my attention. I walked away, my white coat swishing softly, leaving them to grapple with the shattered remains of their assumptions. In a few hours, I would check on Dad again, not as their disappointing daughter, but as the renowned surgeon who had saved his life. Sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation or explanation. Sometimes it's simply letting people discover just how wrong they've been all along.